The quiet strength of a person often speaks louder than any declaration, for value is not something shouted into the world, but something lived in the silent folds of daily life. There is a deep and powerful beauty in proving worth without the need for words, without the constant explanations or defenses, without pointing out achievements to gain recognition. Real value radiates in the way one carries oneself, the way one moves through both storm and sunshine, and the way one stands tall even when no one is watching. It is in silence that the truest proof of character, strength, and depth reveals itself, and that proof lingers long after the moment has passed. The first silent way begins in self-possession, in the quiet art of carrying one's own presence with dignity. To walk into any room and allow calm confidence to wrap around the space is to demonstrate something no words could adequately describe. People sense when someone knows their worth, when someone doesn't need validation to feel whole. This presence does not require raised voices, dramatic gestures, or elaborate explanations. It is the stillness in posture, the directness of gaze, the subtle but unshakable aura of someone who has learned the art of being comfortable in their own skin. Such composure, free from desperation and free from the need to prove anything to anyone, becomes an invisible crown. It tells the world silently and unshakably that there is something unyielding within, a strength not given by external approval but grown from within. This kind of silent self-possession is cultivated over time. It is born from discipline, from the daily practice of honoring oneself even in small rituals. Waking with intention, keeping promises made to the self, nurturing the body and mind with care. These are the unseen bricks that build the foundation of an aura no one can overlook. The world may not witness these private acts of self-respect, yet they culminate in a glow that cannot be hidden. It is not about perfection, but about the quiet resilience that emerges when one knows they are not easily swayed by the opinions of others. In silence, this speaks volumes. The second silent way lies in the choices one makes, for actions are truer than words and carry a power words cannot reach. To live with integrity, to make choices that align with deeper values, is a proof stronger than any speech. When promises are kept, when consistency shines through in even the smallest commitments, when one's behavior reflects loyalty to their principles, value is silently proven. Integrity needs no announcement. It does not knock on doors begging for recognition. It stands as a steady light, clear and constant, guiding others to trust even without a single persuasive phrase. In a world where so many chase appearances, where masks are worn and discarded with convenience, someone who lives their values silently stands apart. Reliability becomes rare and precious. To show up when expected, to hold firm in moments of difficulty, to choose honesty when falsehood would be easier, these actions become silent testaments to worth. They cannot be faked for long, because truth always unveils itself in time. To prove value in silence through choices is to speak in the oldest and most enduring language of humanity, the language of trust, and trust, once established, becomes the foundation upon which everything else can stand. The third silent way rests in the ability to nurture growth, both personal and within the lives of those nearby. This is not about loud encouragement or constant declarations of support, but about subtle actions that empower. When someone pursues their own growth with devotion, they invite others to rise as well. By being dedicated to learning, to expanding perspective, to developing wisdom and skill, a person silently demonstrates that they are not stagnant, that they bring a richness of experience and depth of thought. Growth is magnetic, for it inspires without demanding attention. Equally, the silent gift of support, whether it is a listening ear, a gentle presence in times of struggle, or the steady encouragement that fuels another's dreams, becomes a powerful way of proving worth. It is in the quiet acts of kindness, the unseen sacrifices, the patience shown in moments of frustration, that true value shines. These actions do not need to be spoken aloud, for they etch themselves into memory. They linger in the heart of those touched by them, remembered long after words are forgotten. To live these three silent ways is to weave together presence, integrity, and growth into a tapestry that others cannot ignore. And though silence may seem passive, in truth it roars louder than sound. Words can be rehearsed, manipulated, or forgotten, but silent proof cannot be denied. It endures because it is rooted in reality, not performance. In silence, the walk reveals more than the talk. In silence, the choices shine more than declarations. In silence, the growth and nurturing reflect more than any boast ever could. Silence becomes the canvas upon which true value paints itself, and once it is seen, it cannot be unseen. There is a moment that arrives in every life when the choice to act with honesty is not accompanied by witnesses, applause, or recognition. It is in those hidden spaces of life, away from public eyes, that true character is revealed. Anyone can appear honorable when the world is watching, but the real test comes in silence, in solitude, when no one else stands near to validate or condemn. In these moments, the weight of personal choice becomes a mirror that reflects who one really is, not who one pretends to be. To act rightly in the absence of witnesses is to declare without words that principles matter more than performance, that truth is not situational, and that integrity is the anchor of a soul that refuses to drift. There is a power in choosing what is just even when shortcuts promise ease and convenience. Temptations often disguise themselves as opportunities, whispering that no harm will come if a line is crossed quietly. Yet every time one compromises in the shadows, the foundation of inner strength weakens, piece by piece, until the soul itself feels fractured. To resist that erosion requires courage, a kind of courage rarely praised because it is rarely seen, but it is perhaps the highest form of bravery. For it is easy to wear virtue on a stage, but it is far harder to embody it in the quiet chambers of the unseen life. Those who carry this inner compass walk differently. Their steps are not hurried by fear of being exposed, for there is nothing to hide. Their words flow with a natural confidence, for they are not rehearsed to cover deception. Their presence feels steady, trustworthy, and calm, for the weight of their choices does not burden them with guilt. When people encounter such a person, even without knowing why, they sense solidity, as though they stand before someone whose roots run deep beneath the shifting sands of circumstance. This is the invisible strength of living with integrity away from the public gaze. The most difficult part of choosing rightly in private is that it often yields no immediate reward. There are no claps, no recognition, no instant affirmation. In fact, it may cost something: time, convenience, or even opportunity. But what it gives in return cannot be measured by external scales. It grants peace of mind, a clear conscience, and an unshakable inner dignity that no outside force can strip away. The quiet satisfaction of knowing one acted with honor becomes a steady flame that lights the path forward. It whispers in the heart at night, reminding one that self-respect has been preserved. The truth about unseen choices is that, though hidden in the moment, they eventually shape the visible life. A person who repeatedly honors their deeper values, even when unseen, builds habits that naturally overflow into public life. They become known as dependable, as someone whose word carries weight, whose promises are not empty. Others may not know the secret struggles or sacrifices that built this reputation, but they feel its reality. On the other hand, those who cut corners in private eventually reveal cracks in their character. Deception leaves traces, inconsistency leaks through, and the performance of goodness cannot last forever. The invisible always becomes visible in time, and the seeds sown in private always bloom into public fruit. Integrity is not simply about avoiding wrongdoing, it is about aligning actions with principles, even in the smallest matters. It is in the decision to return the extra change quietly slipped into one's hand, to resist gossip when there is an eager audience, to give effort to work even when no supervisor is present. These may appear minor, yet they form the moral muscle that enables strength in greater trials. Just as a tree grows tall only by sending roots deep, a soul stands tall only by practicing integrity in the hidden and ordinary moments. Great tests of character are passed because 1,000 small ones were honored first. The world often glorifies achievement, success, and recognition, but the foundation of those pursuits collapses without integrity. A person may climb high, but if their steps upward are built on dishonesty, the fall will be inevitable and destructive. True greatness cannot be sustained without trust, and trust cannot exist without the reliability that comes from unseen integrity. To choose the right path privately is to build a fortress around one's life, a protection stronger than wealth, charm, or influence. Even relationships thrive or falter on this principle. Trust is not forged in grand gestures, but in the repeated assurance that a person is the same behind closed doors as they are in the open. When there is no need to question motives, no fear of hidden betrayal, connection deepens. The invisible fidelity shown in small, private choices creates a security that no words can match. It is the difference between fragile bonds and bonds that endure storms. To live this way requires self-discipline because the easier path often calls out seductively. To resist it is to exercise mastery over impulse and to declare that long-term honor outweighs short-term gain. This discipline grows not from fear of punishment, but from love of truth, a love so strong it will not bend to convenience. And as one practices it, the inner voice becomes clearer, guiding with increasing strength, until choosing rightly becomes second nature. The beauty of this path is that it transforms